An artificial intelligence just wrote roughly 90% of the code at the very company that created it. That is not a thought experiment or a marketing line from a press release, it is, according to public reporting in 2026, how a startup called Cognition now actually ships software. And here is the number that should stop you. In a single 12-month stretch, that company's revenue run rate went from about $37 million to roughly $492 million. That is a 13-fold increase in 1 year, which puts it among the fastest scaling software companies anyone has ever measured. So the obvious question is, what is the product? The answer is an AI software engineer named Devin, and the way it makes money is stranger and more fragile than the headlines suggest. Stick with me, because by the end you will understand exactly what enterprises are paying for, where the growth could break, and the one business lesson buried inside these numbers. Let's rewind. Cognition launched Devin in early 2024 as what it called the world's first fully autonomous AI software engineer. Most AI coding tools at the time were autocomplete on steroids, they suggested the next line while a human stayed in the driver's seat. Devin was pitched differently. You give it a task, in plain English, and it tries to plan, write, test, and debug the whole thing on its own, the way you'd hand a ticket to a junior developer and walk away. The first demos went viral, and like most viral demos, they invited a wave of skepticism. Critics pointed out that the polished examples didn't always survive contact with messy, real-world codebases. For a while it looked like Devin might become another impressive toy that never crossed into serious business use. That is the open question that makes the rest of this story interesting. How did a tool that many people wrote off in 2024 turn into a 9-figure revenue engine by 2026? Hold that thought, because the answer is not just better technology. Now the figures, and I'll flag where these are reported estimates rather than audited statements. As of May 2025, Cognition's annualized revenue run rate sat around $37 million. By May 2026, public reporting put it at roughly $492 million. That is about a 1,300% year-over-year increase. Reporting also describes enterprise usage of Devin growing around 50% month-over-month for 6 straight months. Pause on that. 50% month-over-month, compounded, is the kind of curve that turns small numbers into enormous ones frighteningly fast. It is also, mathematically, almost impossible to sustain for long, which is a point we'll come back to. On the back of this growth, Cognition raised over $1 billion in a round reported in late May 2026, at a valuation near $26 billion. For context, just 8 months earlier, in September 2025, the company had raised at a $10.2 billion valuation. So the price the market put on this business more than doubled in well under a year. Those are the headline numbers. The mechanics behind them are where it gets useful. Here is a piece most summaries skip. A big chunk of that revenue did not come purely from organic growth, it came from a deal. In July 2025, Cognition acquired Windsurf, a popular AI coding environment with hundreds of thousands of daily users and real enterprise revenue of its own. According to reporting, Cognition's recurring revenue more than doubled after that acquisition. So when you see a 13x jump, part of it is the underlying product winning customers, and part of it is buying a company that already had them. That distinction matters if you're trying to learn from this rather than just be impressed by it. Acquiring your way to a bigger number is a completely legitimate strategy. Some of the largest software companies on earth were built that way, but it tells you something about the playbook. Cognition wasn't only betting that Devin would convert skeptics one by one. It was assembling a full coding platform, the autonomous agent for the hard, hands-off jobs, and a polished editor for the everyday work developers do beside it. That combination is the real product, and it's why the next part, what enterprises actually pay for, makes more sense. So why would a large company hand real money to an AI engineer? Not because it writes pretty code in a demo. They pay for throughput on the boring, expensive work that clogs every engineering team, migrations, bug backlogs, test coverage, updating thousands of files when a dependency changes. These are tasks that are tedious for senior engineers but enormously costly when left undone. If an autonomous agent can chew through even a slice of that backlog reliably, the math gets compelling fast, because the alternative is paying a team of well-compensated humans to do work they actively dislike. And remember that detail from the top, Cognition says its own AI writes around 90% of its code. Whatever you think of the exact percentage, it functions as the most honest sales pitch a company can make, we run our own business on this. That is the difference between selling a product and demonstrating one. When a buyer asks, does this actually work at scale, the answer is the company standing in front of them. That credibility, more than any benchmark, is what turns a viral demo into a recurring contract. Here's the payoff I promised, and it's the part you can actually use. The lesson is not, AI will replace programmers, which is both overstated and boring. The lesson is about where value is moving. For 2 decades, software companies sold tools that made humans a little faster. Cognition is selling outcomes, completed work, not just a faster way to do it yourself. That shift, from selling a tool to selling the result the tool produces, is quietly the biggest business trend in AI right now, and it shows up everywhere from coding to customer support to legal review. If you are building anything with AI, the question worth sitting with is not, what task can I speed up, but, what finished result can I deliver and charge for? The companies growing the fastest in 2026 almost all sit on that second side of the line. They don't sell you the drill, they sell you the hole. And the closer your product gets to a result a customer would otherwise pay a human to produce, the more pricing power you tend to have. Now the honest counterweight, because every number we've discussed comes with an asterisk. 50% month-over-month growth cannot continue indefinitely. If it did, the company would consume the entire global economy within a few years, which is the universe's way of telling you the curve must bend. Some of the revenue came from an acquisition, not organic demand, so the underlying growth rate is harder to read than the headline suggests. And a $26 billion valuation prices in years of flawless execution against deep-pocketed rivals, because every major AI lab and cloud provider wants this exact market. Autonomous agents also still make mistakes that a careless team can ship straight into production, which means the trust Cognition is earning today can be lost faster than it was built. None of this means the company is doomed, it means the story is a bet, not a finished result, and anyone quoting these numbers as destiny is selling you something. The most useful way to watch a company like this is to track whether the growth holds after the easy wins are gone. So here's where it nets out. An AI software engineer went from a doubted demo to roughly $500 million in run rate revenue in about a year, partly by getting genuinely better, partly by buying its way to scale, and largely by selling finished outcomes instead of faster tools, all while its maker runs its own codebase on the product it sells. That last detail is the whole thesis in miniature. The most convincing proof that an AI works is a company willing to bet its own operations on it. Whether Cognition becomes a generational company or a cautionary tale of growth priced too high, the pattern it's riding is the one to understand if you want to build or invest in this space over the next few years. If breakdowns like this, real numbers, honest caveats, the lesson underneath the headline, are what you're here for, subscribe so the next case study finds you automatically. I dig into a new one regularly, and the next number might be even harder to believe.